Most men believe being harmless is the same as being good, but that is a dangerous lie. In a world of wolves, being a sheep is nothing more than a slow suicide mission. Are you actually a good person, or are you just incapable of being truly dangerous? There is a profound difference between a domesticated dog and a wolf that chooses its teeth. One relies on the mercy of others, while the other commands respect through sheer presence. When you walk into a room, do people feel comfort or a subtle, instinctual weight? True power doesn't scream for attention. It radiates from a place of cold, weaponized silence. This is the realm of the Machiavellian outlier, the man who masters his own internal storm. He maintains an emotional zero point, never swayed by the petty whims of those around him. To find the roots of this strength, we must look back to the 16th century. Niccolò Machiavelli was the man who literally wrote the definitive handbook on the nature of power. His legendary work was never intended for the harmless, the weak, or the easily offended. Machiavelli's handbook on power was crafted specifically for those who dare to be dangerous. He understood that virtue, or virtù, requires a strength that most men are afraid to possess. In his eyes, a leader must be a sovereign individual, unbound by the chains of mediocrity. The contrast between dangerous versus harmless is not about violence, but about having the choice. A dangerous man knows when to use strategic cruelty and when to offer a steady hand. He possesses the capability for destruction, yet chooses the path of discipline and absolute control. This instinctual fear others feel is not of violence, but of your absolute lack of weakness. Most people are domesticated by society, losing the raw edge that once defined the human spirit. They confuse their inability to act with a moral high ground that does not actually exist. But the outlier realizes that power is the only currency that truly matters in this life. He navigates the world with the quiet confidence of a predator who has nothing to prove. By mastering weaponized silence, he forces the room to adjust to his own heavy frequency. Every movement is deliberate, every word is weighted, and every glance is a sovereign command. To understand this transformation, we must study the man who codified the laws of the wolf. Machiavelli asserted that in a world of wolves, being a sheep is a guaranteed suicide mission. You must decide if you will remain a victim of fate or become a master of power. To understand the outlier, we must look at the man who literally wrote the handbook on transformation. Before we reveal the 7 sides, we must redefine what being dangerous actually means. True danger isn't found in the man who loses control, but in one who has perfected self-command. Popular culture paints a picture of aggression, yet true power is far more quiet and calculated. Violence is often mistaken for strength, but it is actually the tool of a weak man. When a man loses control of his emotions, he resorts to violence as a desperate last resort. What is more terrifying, a man with a weapon or a man who cannot be shamed? A truly dangerous man is one who cannot be manipulated, guilt-tripped, or coerced by anyone. He remains unshakable when others try to use shame as a weapon to force his submission. Think of a surgeon's scalpel. It is precise, deadly, and entirely under the master's control. This level of precision is what separates a chaotic threat from a sovereign individual's power. If you cannot be manipulated by the world, are you not the most dangerous man present? To understand this level of effectiveness, we must look at the specific qualities Machiavelli called virtù. In the ancient sense, virtù does not mean moral goodness, but pure skill and strength. It represents the effectiveness of a man who knows exactly how to achieve his desired outcomes. This ancient skill of effectiveness creates a presence that others find both magnetic and intimidating. Your evolution into this archetype is marked by 7 distinct signs of internal transformation. You are moving from a reactive state to becoming a sovereign force in your own life. This journey begins by mastering your internal world and reaching a state of emotional zero point. You start to realize that even your silence can be weaponized against those who seek control. It involves the cold realization of when strategic cruelty is necessary for your ultimate protection. Being dangerous is about the weight of your character rather than the height of your voice. It is the difference between a loose cannon and a guided missile locked on its target. This is the essence of virtù, the internal engine that powers the first sign of your transformation. Let us examine the first indicator that you are becoming a man the world cannot ignore. Step back into the bleeding heart of the Renaissance, where survival was the only true law. This was the world of Niccolò Machiavelli, a landscape defined by constant war and sudden betrayal. In this era, the concept of virtù meant far more than simple morality or gentle kindness. Mercenary armies roamed the Italian countryside, selling their lethal loyalty to the highest bidder of the day. Amidst this brutal chaos, Machiavelli penned his infamous handbook on power to map the path of survival. He understood that being harmless was a death sentence in a world ruled by the sharp blade. To understand the dangerous man, we must first look at the brutal necessity of his ancient origins. Machiavelli observed that a prince who cannot wield the sword will eventually be destroyed by another. Power was never granted. It was seized through strategic cruelty and an unshakable sovereign will. While others spoke of heaven, Machiavelli focused on the blood-soaked reality of the cold earth below. Every city-state was a chessboard where one wrong move could lead to total, ruinous execution. This environment forged the philosophy of the dangerous man, making strength a requirement for literal existence. He saw that the truly powerful mastered the emotional zero point before they ever take action. Weaponized silence became a shield against the many spies lurking in every dark velvet corridor. If you wish to be dangerous, you must adopt the cold mindset of a survivor in chaos. Machiavelli knew that a man without teeth is simply a victim waiting for his tragic time. His handbook on power was not a guide for villains, but a map for the sovereign. Wars were not just fought on battlefields, but in the whispered secrets of the high courts. The distinction between being dangerous versus harmless was the difference between life and a shallow grave. Now, we begin our descent into the first sign of this lethal and highly calculated transformation. Is your kindness a genuine choice, or is it a mask for your fear of conflict? The first sign of this transformation begins with a quiet, internal funeral for your former, harmless self. We call this first stage the death of the nice guy, where the harmless sheep finally perishes. You are finally stepping away from the need to please everyone and embracing your inner sovereign soul. Within this crucible, the desperate need to be liked must be burned away to reveal true personal power. Why do we value the opinions of people we do not even respect in our own lives? For the dangerous man, being liked is a luxury, but being respected is an absolute, non-negotiable necessity. Machiavelli famously wrote that it is much safer to be feared by others than to be loved. He observed that love is merely preserved by a fragile link of obligation that men break easily. Fear, however, is preserved by a dread of punishment that never fails to keep men in line. Love is a thin thread that breaks under pressure, while fear is a chain that only tightens. The harmless man seeks the approval of the crowd, while the dangerous man seeks only his objectives. This shift requires a high level of virtù, the raw ability to impose your will upon your reality. Would you rather be loved by people who leave, or respected by those who fear crossing you? This transformation introduces the concept of strategic cruelty, a tool often misunderstood by the weak and the fearful. Strategic cruelty is not about being a bully, but about making hard survival decisions without any hesitation. It is the cold calculation required to protect your boundaries and ensure your long-term success in life. You must reach an emotional zero point where external praise and criticism hold no power over you anymore. In this state, weaponized silence becomes your shield, forcing others to fill the void with nervous energy. No longer do you offer your energy for free to those who have not earned your time. The harmless sheep seeks to fit in, but the dangerous outlier creates his own distinct path forward. When you prioritize survival over social harmony, you begin to operate on a completely different psychological level. You stop asking for permission and start dictating the terms of your engagement with the world around. This death of the nice guy is painful because it requires killing your deep desire for social comfort. Machiavelli understood that men are ungrateful and fickle, making love a poor foundation for any true leader. A man who is feared can predict the behavior of others with far greater clinical and cold accuracy. True sovereignty means your internal compass is no longer calibrated by the smiles of total, random strangers. Your strategic decisions are now guided by cold logic rather than the heat of social anxiety. Respect is earned through the demonstrated ability to be dangerous when the situation demands it from you. When you stop needing to be liked, you begin to be feared in the Machiavellian sense. As history has proven, fear is a much more reliable foundation for lasting and sustainable power. Imagine a high-stakes corporate boardroom where the air is thick with tension and looming failure. Your department faces massive budget cuts, and you must decide who stays and who goes. The harmless man trembles, trying to save everyone while ultimately drowning the entire ship. He seeks approval from his subordinates, mistaking their temporary comfort for true leadership or loyalty. But the dangerous man understands that Machiavelli viewed strategic cruelty as an essential tool for survival. He steps into the emotional zero point, stripping away the need to be liked by others. Instead of stalling, he identifies the dead weight holding back the team's collective potential and future. He knows that keeping a failing employee out of pity is actually a betrayal of everyone. This is where he exercises virtù, showing the strength to act when others are paralyzed by fear. He calls the necessary meeting, his face a mask of calm, calculated, and professional resolve. Using weaponized silence, he lets the weight of the moment settle before delivering the final word. There's no malice in his voice, only the sovereign clarity of a man protecting his kingdom. While the office whispers, he remains detached, focused entirely on the long-term health of the organization. He cuts the branch to save the tree, a hard choice that ensures his people's survival. The nice guy would have hesitated, leading to a total collapse that leaves everyone unemployed. By embracing strategic cruelty, he earns a deep respect that shallow popularity can never truly provide. His team now sees him as a protector, a leader capable of making the impossible calls. He is no longer just a manager. He has become a sovereign figure within the corporate hierarchy. This transformation proves that being dangerous is often the most compassionate path a man can take. He has mastered the art of being feared without being hated, securing his power and legacy. This modern scenario illustrates how ancient Machiavellian principles apply to your daily professional life and success. Moving from harmless to dangerous isn't about being a bully. It's about being effective and decisive. When the pressure mounts, you must decide if you are a victim or a true leader. Every hard choice you make builds the foundation of your new, more powerful, and dangerous identity. Once you stop seeking approval, you reach the second sign, the emotional zero point. There is a state of mind where insults, praise, and chaos lose their power over you entirely. A dangerous man has learned to stop reacting impulsively to every external stimulus he encounters. Why let a stranger's fleeting comment dictate your heart rate for the next hour? Achieving this quiet, internal sovereignty is the defining characteristic of the emotional zero point. To understand this power, we must look to the classic metaphors of Niccolò Machiavelli. Machiavelli famously described the dual nature of power through the metaphor of the lion and fox. In his vision, the lion represents pure force and the instinctual drive to react. While the lion is majestic, he is often prone to being baited into unnecessary battles. Conversely, the fox embodies the cunning required to recognize and avoid the hidden snare. One has the raw power to roar, but the other has the wisdom to survive. The dangerous man combines both, using the fox's eyes to guide the lion's strength. Are you the lion reacting with brute force, or the fox watching the trap? Like the surgeon's precision, you must learn to operate without the fog of emotional turmoil. This internal stability is tested daily by what Machiavelli called fortuna, or the world's chaos. To the unprepared, fortuna represents the unpredictable luck and fate that ruins the weak. Machiavelli compared the sudden shifts of fortuna to a raging destructive river during a storm. This river can sweep away everything in its path, leaving only devastation for the reactive. However, a man of Virtù does not simply wait for the floods to subside. He builds dikes and dams during the calm to channel fortuna's power toward his goals. By building these dams, you aren't just surviving the river of fate, you're channeling it. Instead of being drowned by the storm, you use its energy to fuel your ascent. This mastery of self creates a weaponized silence that unnerves those who thrive on drama. Once you control your internal river, you become truly sovereign over your own destiny. Mastering the emotional zero point is what truly separates the dangerous man from the harmless. The third sign is a shattering of illusions we call the removal of the pedestal. The people you look up to aren't saints. They are just gangsters in nicer robes. Who told you they were better than you, or that their authority was truly divine? To become dangerous, you must master desacralization, the process of stripping away the sacred. This means viewing the world as it actually is, not through a lens of worship. Machiavelli observed the most powerful men of his time and saw through their golden masks. He realized that even kings and popes were merely gangsters dressed in expensive, holy robes. Like seeing the wizard behind the curtain, the mystery of power evaporates into mechanical reality. Once you remove the pedestal, you stop being a servant and start being a peer. Machiavelli warned that acting virtuously among evil men will only lead to your certain destruction. Being harmless is never a virtue when you are surrounded by those playing for keeps. You must understand the mechanics of power to survive the cold crucible of the real world. If the world is built by people no smarter than you, why ask for permission? Stripping the sacred nature away allows you to see the glaring flaws in every human leader. Seeing these human flaws is the key to negotiating effectively from a position of strength. This raw, honest assessment is the beginning of Virtù, the true power of the dangerous man. You aren't just surviving the river of fate, you are finally learning how to navigate it. Stop treating your heroes like gods and start treating them like flawed human competitors. When you remove the pedestal, you reclaim the power you once gave away so freely. Once everyone is human, everyone is a peer, and finally you are ready to negotiate. When you see the world as it is, you learn the value of keeping your mouth shut. Sign number 4 reveals a lethal tool every sovereign must master: the art of weaponized silence. The loudest man in the room is usually the weakest because he is leaking vital information. Why are you so eager to tell everyone exactly what you are doing with your life? Machiavelli famously understood that information is the ultimate currency of power in any human interaction. When you broadcast your plans, you give your enemies a map to destroy your future success. A dangerous man operates like a black hole, remaining quiet while exerting an inescapable gravitational pull. You must become an enigma, a puzzle that others cannot solve no matter how hard they try. Most people talk to seek approval, but the sovereign speaks only to achieve a specific result. In every high-stakes negotiation, the person who speaks the least inherently holds the most power. Silence creates a vacuum that others feel an uncontrollable, desperate need to fill with their words. While they ramble and reveal their weaknesses, you are busy collecting the keys to their defeat. Weaponized silence is not about being shy. It is a calculated strike against an opponent's composure. Consider the cunning fox who waits in total stillness before making the final decisive move. What happens to your enemies when they can no longer predict your very next strategic move? By withholding your thoughts, you maintain the emotional 0 point and keep your internal state hidden. Every word you save is a bullet you keep for when the moment truly requires it. Control the flow of information and you will control the reality of those around you. True virtue requires the discipline to remain silent while others lose themselves in their own noise. Stop broadcasting your intentions and let your actions be the first thing the world ever sees. When you are silent, people project their own fears and insecurities onto the blank canvas you provide. Use this psychological pressure to dismantle their confidence without ever raising your voice in anger. Mastery of your tongue is the first step toward the ultimate mastery of your entire environment. Silence is the armor of the wise and the weapon of the truly dangerous man. They will try to fill the silence, so let them hand you the keys to their own defeat. This brings us to the most controversial side: integrating the capacity for violence into your character. You cannot be truly peaceful until you are capable of delivering extreme violence at will. Sign number 5 reveals that being dangerous is the only way to reach true moral virtue. Are you actually peaceful, or are you just a harmless man with no other options? If a predator came for what you loved, could you actually do anything to stop him? Jordan Peterson states that a good man is a very dangerous man with voluntary control. True goodness is not the absence of teeth, but the choice not to use them. Without the ability to be dangerous, your kindness is just a mask for your deep-seated fear. This concept connects to Carl Jung and his psychological work on the integration of the shadow. Your shadow is the dark, repressed part of yourself that holds your primal and aggressive power. To become a sovereign individual, you must acknowledge the monster lurking within your own psyche. Ignoring your capacity for darkness makes you a victim to those who have embraced theirs. Machiavelli lived during a brutal era defined by constant mercenary warfare and shifting political power. He argued that a prince who cannot wield the sword will eventually be destroyed by enemies. In his writings, Machiavelli insisted there is simply no comparison between the armed and the unarmed. An unarmed man lives in a state of perpetual vulnerability, while the armed man holds choice. Think of your capacity for violence as a sharp sword kept safely within its polished scabbard. The sword is ready and lethal, but it remains holstered until the exact moment of necessity. You integrate this power through physical training that forces you to confront your own physical limits. Combat sports like boxing teach you how to remain calm while facing another man's aggression. Training in jiu-jitsu allows you to feel the weight of a struggle without losing your composure. Practicing Muay Thai develops the striking power needed to defend yourself and your personal boundaries. These tools transform your aggression into a controlled force that serves your higher masculine purpose. A dangerous man moves with a quiet confidence that harmless men can never truly replicate. He does not need to start fights because everyone in the room senses his capability. This controlled power is the foundation of virtue, allowing you to dominate your environment effectively. You are no longer reacting from fear, but acting from a place of absolute strategic cruelty. Your peace becomes a conscious decision rather than a byproduct of your own physical weakness. Transitioning from harmless to dangerous is the only path to achieving a lasting internal sovereignty. An unarmed man is a victim in waiting, but an armed man is a master of his destiny. To understand the truly dangerous man, we must explore the dark architecture of the human psyche. Many mistake a lack of teeth for a virtuous heart, but harmlessness is merely a lack of options. True virtue requires the possession of power and the disciplined choice to keep it sheathed. This internal struggle begins with what psychologist Carl Jung famously identified as the integration of the shadow. Your shadow contains every dark impulse and aggressive urge you have spent a lifetime trying to hide. By suppressing these forces, you do not become a better man. You only become more predictable. A man who fears his own aggression is easily manipulated by those who have mastered theirs. He lacks the Machiavellian edge needed to navigate a world that often rewards strategic cruelty. When you ignore your shadow, it does not disappear. It manifests as weakness and resentment. Integration means reaching into that darkness and pulling it into the light of your conscious mind. You must acknowledge your capacity for destruction to truly understand your potential for creation. This process transforms a passive victim into a sovereign individual who commands his own internal territory. As Jordan Peterson noted, a good man is actually a very dangerous man who has control. This voluntary control turns raw aggression into a focused tool for protecting what matters most. It is the difference between a wildfire and the controlled burn of a furnace. Without this fire, your kindness is just a mask for your inability to fight back. With it, your silence becomes weaponized, carrying the weight of a threat you never need to vocalize. You find your emotional zero point by knowing exactly how far you are willing to go. This realization grants you the ultimate freedom to act from a position of absolute strength. You no longer seek approval because you are the one who sets the terms of engagement. This is the essence of virtue, the ability to act decisively when the moment demands it. Integrating your shadow ensures that your danger is always a choice, never an uncontrolled outburst. You become a man who is capable of anything but chooses to do what is right. This balanced state is where the truly dangerous man resides, poised between restraint and action. Embrace the darkness within, for only then can you truly walk as a master of yourself. Every hour you spend on something mediocre is an hour stolen from your personal greatness. True power brings a heavy responsibility, primarily focused on how you command your own time. This mastery leads us to the sixth sign of the dangerous man: ruthless prioritization. Machiavelli understood that a sovereign must guard his focus as fiercely as he guards his borders. He taught that a ruler should focus only on what maintains and expands his sovereign state. For you, your state is your mind, your body, and the empire you are building. To grow, you must adopt a prince's economy, treating your energy as a finite resource. We define opportunity cost as the silent thief that robs your future every single day. Opportunity cost is stealing from greatness every hour spent doing something mediocre instead of achieving virtue. Consider the growth of a vine reaching desperately toward the life-giving heat of the sun. To strengthen the main trunk, the gardener must prune away even the healthy-looking branches. You must cut away distractions that look good but provide no real value to your state. What is the true opportunity cost of the distractions you currently allow in your life? This is where strategic cruelty meets productivity, as you kill off projects that no longer serve. A dangerous man is sovereign over his schedule, never letting the trivial dictate his daily path. While harmless men stay busy with noise, the dangerous man moves with surgical, calculated precision. Ask yourself if your current activity maintains your state, or if it is merely empty noise. Use weaponized silence to protect your deep work from those who would waste your focus. Every decision must be filtered through the lens of virtue and the expansion of your power. Maintain your emotional zero point when saying no to requests that do not align with goals. Remember that choosing the mediocre always means rejecting the exceptional path that lies before you. If an action does not actively expand your influence, it is a drain on your crown. Your duty is not to be liked by everyone, but to be effective in your mission. A prince does not just manage his time. He carefully manages the weight of his legacy. Prepare yourself, for the final sign will reveal the ultimate cost of true, unchecked power. As you become more dangerous, the circle around you will naturally shrink until you stand alone. We have reached the final marker of power, sign number 7, the acceptance of solitude. If you are terrified of being alone in a room for 10 minutes, you are easy to control. In total silence, the average man begins to panic as the void of isolation consumes his mind. Is your social life a deliberate choice, or is it merely a hiding place from your thoughts? A truly dangerous man does not fear the silence. He uses it to forge a sovereign spirit. You must build an internal fortress, a place no army can breach because they were never invited in. Within these walls, you become entirely immune to social pressure and the stinging threat of modern exile. Even the great Machiavelli discovered that true power is often refined in the cold sting of isolation. In a sudden fall, Machiavelli was removed from his high position in Florence and forced into exile. He was stripped of his influence and commanded to live out his days on a quiet farm. While the world thought him broken, he was actually entering his most dangerous and productive phase. It was during this forced exile that Machiavelli sat down to write his greatest and most enduring works. He transformed his isolation into a display of virtù, proving a sovereign mind needs no cheering audience. Can you stand in your own truth when every single person you know has walked away? Most men remain harmless because they require the constant approval of the crowd to feel significant. But the dangerous man reaches an emotional zero point where the absence of others provides absolute clarity. Solitude is the whetstone that sharpens your resolve and reveals the dark architecture of your psyche. To master this final sign, you must learn to walk the path of the solitary sovereign. Embrace this stillness as your ultimate source of strength and the foundation of your internal fortress. But there is one final sign, the one that changes everything and can never be undone. There is a price for this power, and once you pay it, there is no refund. We have finally reached sign 0. The ultimate threshold of your transformation into a dangerous man. This final stage represents the complete loss of your naive ignorance and childhood illusions. Once you understand the underlying power dynamics of the world, they can never be unseen again. You have stepped beyond the facade of harmlessness and entered the realm of true strategic reality. Can you ever look at a simple handshake the same way after learning these hidden truths? Every interaction now reveals the subtle push and pull of influence, status, and hidden agendas. Like waking up from a deep dream, you cannot choose to believe the illusion was real. You have traded the comfort of lies for the sharp, cold clarity of Machiavellian perception. This is the finality of virtù, where your internal strength meets the unforgiving truth of existence. Think back to your emotional zero point, where you first learned to detach from external validation. That detachment was only the beginning of your journey toward this irreversible state of awareness. The pedestal has been removed, leaving you to face the world without the safety of ignorance. You now see the strategic cruelty inherent in systems that once seemed fair and balanced. Is the absolute clarity of power worth the permanent loss of your youthful innocence? Most men prefer the warm blanket of delusion over the chilling winds of absolute sovereignty. Your weaponized silence is no longer just a tactic, but a shield for your deeper understanding. You are no longer the sheep caught in the herd, but the outlier observing the fold. The price of sign 0 is heavy, demanding the death of the man you used to be. There is no returning to the bliss of not knowing how the world truly functions. Every conversation, every deal, and every relationship is now viewed through the lens of power. You have become the architect of your own reality, leaving the passive observers far behind. The naive bliss of ignorance is dead, replaced by the heavy crown of strategic mastery. Welcome to the architect level, where your dangerous nature is finally and fully realized. The public world will always lie to you about how power works, but architects know the truth. If you are ready to see the full blueprint, your journey into the shadows begins now. Are you truly satisfied with the surface, or do you want to see the hidden gears turning? Will you remain a spectator in this world, or will you choose to become a true architect? We have explored the signs of danger, yet there is a deeper level waiting for the bold. Most men stop at the threshold, fearing the weight of the uncensored truths that lie beyond. True power requires more than just awareness. It demands a mastery of dark psychology and manipulation. You have already learned the value of weaponized silence and the calm of the emotional 0 point. But these are merely the tools for the harmless man who wishes to become truly dangerous. To reach the pinnacle of sovereignty, you must step into the restricted halls of the architect level. By clicking the join button, you gain access to the raw strategies that remain hidden from public view. This is not for the faint of heart, but for those who seek to master their virtù. We dive deep into the mechanics of strategic cruelty, stripping away the polite lies of modern society. Consider this your invitation to move from the crowded audience directly into the silent control room. Like Machiavelli before us, we study the world as it is, not as we wish it to be. Every lesson is a stone used for building the dams against the chaotic floods of Fortuna. The path to becoming an architect is lonely, but the view from the top is absolutely sovereign. You have outgrown the myths of the harmless man and now stand at the edge of greatness. The choice is yours: stay with the masses or claim your place among the strategic elite. Join us at the architect level today and finally master the true architecture of human power.